Mic'd up.
All right, so we're here. It's our December 7th show, almost the anniversary of the Yankees trading for Stanton. Welcome to the show. Today, Adam and I are welcoming our brothers to the show. Why, we are not so sure. First, let me introduce Adam's brother, Steven. He's the blank screen, as you can see. We'll be asking him lots of questions, and I am sure his input from the blank screen will be as good as his input would have been if he could have figured out the technology. Even though we worked on it over the weekend.
We did.
This is going to end up being a pick on Steven show. You know that.
That's him dialing in.
Dialing in what on
your phone?
Does it have dial up at his house? Is that what the problem is?
I don't know.
Anyhow,
Get that screen from AOL.
He is my brother.
Brothers. That's my brother Richard. And Richard, let me start with this. What the hell are you doing here?
Oh, just along for the ride.
The brothers show ended up being a brother show.
Shoe? Okay.
Well, it's okay. Our other alleged brother, Todd, says we need a new producer.
Yeah.
Actually, what we need is somebody to go and do the technology, which, of course, Todd was refusing to do earlier today when we were trying to talk to him about it. But he's listening, so he must have figured it out. Anyhow, starting today's show, it seems like we might have something to talk about today.
Oh, and please introduce Kramer's Notes.
Oh, sorry, and I forgot to say in the bottom left-hand corner. Holy mackerel!
There's a brother.
He made it. So that is Adam's brother, Steven. He is 25 years older than Adam, as you can tell by his looks.
I thought it was Saul from Homeland.
He could be Saul from Homeland. He could be Mandy Patinkin.
Sit back, Steve. Push back a little bit. Push back. That's better.
Push back. I'll push back. Jesus Christ.
Go back to the gray screen.
Anyhow, now you broke everybody's eyesight. So, Steven, I just introduced, what's your name? Richard. So I'm going to introduce you. That is Adam's brother, Steven.
I've known him my whole life.
He's 25 years older than you. He's old enough to be your father.
I was his father. I was
bad story,
his brother. Yeah, I was his father before I was his brother. Yeah.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked my brother. Why are you here?
Because my parents had two sons and a daughter, and I was the first of the three children. So,
are you the daughter?
No, but I'm the guy that used to take Adam out to play all the time, and he was not my son. He was my little brother. So
yeah, but he was significantly older and bigger than I was,
and I still am.
People would say, "Sir, can we play with you and your son?" And it would make him very upset.
Well, he had that beard at age 8, didn't he?
He did.
But Adam's been trying to grow it for 30 years, so he's fine.
Adam's beard grows on his back.
That's right.
It does.
Yes, really. No, please do not make fun of the follically impaired.
Hi, Richard. Nice to see you again.
Good seeing you, finally.
All right, thank you for coming.
So why are we here? And why did this turn into like the biggest week of the year after I was dying 36 hours ago?
Yeah, it was a pretty hard.
Still don't look that healthy.
Yeah.
Happy Wanaka, everybody.
Happy Wanaka. Yes.
I thought you guys, because it's not sundown out here on the West Coast, I thought you guys were going to have your menorahs on the screen with you.
Oh, well, we had Chinese. I left mine in the other room, burning. Fired up, baby.
All right. The house doesn't burn down while you're on the show. You cannot leave your seat, even if the house is burning down.
Yes.
There it is. Okay. All right. So let's say we've introduced Kramer's Nose.
Yes, Kramer's Nose is still on the show.
Our friend from last week, very, very upset that he isn't here, but we didn't have room. We can only have 4 people. So we had to mix it up. So we brought in Kramer's Nose. I've got our friends John here. Okay. Some people call him Jack. We got Thurman. And then, last but not least, we've got our friend Lou.
Gehrig.
Okay, so we're going to talk sports or what? How about this?
So just to remind everybody, the topic of the day was our continuing conversation about the Yankees offseason, but finally there's something to talk about. Adam, what do you think about the Soto trade?
Loved it. Couldn't be happier. It's what I thought. I was thinking about it. I can think of no more significant move, really, probably since A-Rod. And I think he's actually a better fit for the Yankees than A-Rod even then, because remember we had to move him to third, so there's a question. And then he didn't have a great first year with the Yankees. I don't think I've ever seen a move where the Yankees needed somebody so much, had all this talent, really a generational skill set, and a perfect player for them. At this point, they need a left-handed bat, and they need somebody who doesn't strike out. They want a bat the ball guy. So this guy doesn't hit the ball out. He's gonna hit a ton of doubles, because I hear he loves to go to left field also. So he's gonna love that, and then he's gonna walk. And can you imagine having him and Judge next to each other? Think how would you feel to be leading off this year? How'd you like to be LeMahieu leading off and having those two guys behind you? So I think he's going to see a lot of good pitches, and it's going to be. I think it's great. I couldn't be happier, and I don't really have a problem with what they gave up. They did not give up any of their positional talent. In the minors, they gave up a lot of. They gave up their depth. They gave up a lot of bodies. But really, aside from King, who I love, was one of my favorite players the last couple of years. But he is a fantasy camp guy, so we knew we had to go. The curse strikes again.
We talked about the curse.
We'll talk about the curse, but in a second. But I really felt that it was a great move all around. So the curse is that every guy who's ever come to camp. Every special guest that ever comes to fantasy camp somehow either gets horribly injured, like career-ending injuries, or gets traded generally within a year of camp. In this case, it's almost exactly a year. King was at camp last year, and he is gone today. So we call it the camp curse.
Well, the other jinx could possibly be Volpe, because he was at camp last year too. Hopefully he doesn't get the big injury, because
they never have two problems. They only have one guy. The other guy is okay. So
Rich, what do you think of the trade?
No, I think it's a good one. I mean, it's he's gonna love hitting to right field. Hopefully, he doesn't change his swing that much. But it's just a power lefty hitting to left field, to right field into Yankee Stadium. It's gonna be perfect, especially with somebody who's just, as you said, bat the ball. The fit overall, definitely positives outweigh the negatives. The only thing is you're moving Judge into center and poor Fielder into right. So that's the only negative I could see in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Rabbi Steve, any opinion?
Sit back. You have to sit back a little bit.
Lean back, Steve.
We can't see the. All right, now we can see.
There you go.
That's better. Uh-oh.
Oh, maybe we can hear you if you sit back.
His microphone. There he goes. Yes, Steve.
It was a move they had to make. They really did have to make it. And you know what? I think the ironic thing is that I've gone from not looking forward to March 28th to actually knowing now at 7 p.m. on March 28th they're going to play the Astros. So I think that that's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be exciting, and it's not the greatest move they ever made, but it's certainly one of the most anticipated moves that they've made in many years. So it's let's see what they can do now. Let's see if they can stay healthy. Let's hope he doesn't get hurt, and let's see what they can do. Because Adams said a couple of days ago. I mean, do you want to win at least one World Series? And I go, yeah, it might be nice. So let's win the damn World Series.
Win the freaking World Series, exactly.
So spoiled. I do want to give my opinion. So I think they gave up a bunch of pitching depth in Higgy, which is fine. And they have one of the top 5 hitters, if not one of the top 3 hitters in all of baseball, right? He checks all the boxes that the Yankees needed to check with that an individual player can check for the Yankees. He's a lefty, low K rate, high walk rate, best in baseball, lifetime on-base percentage of .420. Of all the players in all of baseball history, his stats at age 25 were among the best ever, rivaling Ted Williams. And his slash lines of 284 average, 421 on base, and 524 slugging sits only behind 6 Hall of Famers and Barry Bonds on the all-time list of slash lines. So I don't see a downside to this. I do want to chime in. By the way, Stephen, March 28th, you should be looking forward to Richard's son, Matthew Miller, who I raised. It's his birthday. And as to the jinx, we do have a comment on the why the fantasy camp jinx does exist. Our brother Todd chimed in, and I want to play this for you guys now.
Maybe these guys ask to be traded so they don't have to play ball with you guys anymore.
Well, they don't play with us. Maybe they play with Todd's balls, but they don't play with us. They just come and sign autographs. So that's the way that'll go. Does anybody see a downside other than it's a 1 year? They're not going to be able to sign him because he's a Boris client until next offseason.
Well, are we expecting a good year out of Carlos Rodon? I guess that might be the one question. Right now, he's like their number 2 starter, and I'm not sure. That might be. They need to do something with the. They need a little more depth in starting pitching. They
got rid of it. They got rid of their depth in the pitching. I mean, King would have been one of their 5 starters, and I would argue that they only have 4 right now that are major league starters, right? And we can talk about that in a little bit because I think that comes up when we start talking about what do they need to do. But the current rotation really is Cole, Rodon, Cortez, and Schmidt, and that's it.
Bieber? Or
Bieber.
not Bieber. I mean,
Beater.
Who's
Yeah,
Beater?
Shane Beater. Shane Beater.
Beater. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Well, why don't we go through the other trade too? Well, the other player. Let's talk about the other player in the trade, Grisham. Yeah. What do we think about Grisham?
I like him because whether he's a 4th outfielder or not, he is a guy. We saw what elite defense can do for you in center field, and they need that. This guy's not going to be great in left field for the Yankees. Judge we need Judge to kind of stay where he is in right. And it's great to have a guy who can go all out in center field. So I think it serves a great purpose having a defense heavy player. I'd like to see him learn how to hit though. And the question is, can they fix that? Can they, and we were talking about it before the show. He has some of the worst swing per at bat ratios of the game. He apparently doesn't swing. He waits a lot. And that's murder. You want to swing early in the count.
That's get out ahead. About Mattingly. They used to say Mattingly way too much too. So,
yeah. So they don't want that. So I think the position with him is that if they can get somebody in there to show him how to make contact earlier and be more aggressive, maybe it's 230 to 250 instead of 179 or whatever it was this year, and that turns him into a valuable piece, even if he isn't Ted Williams out there or at the back.
Well, isn't he Verdugo without the who doesn't strike out as much? I mean, isn't he a better defense? Verdugo is a better defensive outfielder, right? And
Grisham's Gold Glove quality outfielder.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, Grisham. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
I mean, Grisham is a lefty and a Gold Glove caliber, but his K rate for his career is 28%.
He'll fit in very well. He'll fit in very well with the Yankees.
Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo's K rate was 50%, but Grisham's is 26% for his career, 28% last year, trending in the wrong direction. But he does have reverse splits, lefties, righties. He hits lefties 256, and he hit righties 178 last year, and he's a lefty hitter. So that's an interesting little thing. And he's also under club control through 25. He's estimated to make about $5 million this year, according to Sports Track through arbitration. But as I looked up earlier today and talked about, Steve was figuring out the technology, he has 3 minor league options left.
Yeah. So he's a depth piece in many at the very least, or he can be cut. They'll cut him for $5 million or a portion of it. He's the kind of guy who they lose once they get the Martian back, and he might go then. I just don't understand why. I mean, I know we'll talk about Verdugo. I don't get that. That's the one that seems surprising to me, and I like the Grisham. I thought the Grisham was going to happen because they wanted to cut salary. I'm lucky. It could have been worse. It could have been Cronin Cronenworth. He had a lot more money on the books. So,
I would have liked Cronenworth because he could play first, second, and potentially third. And he's got a huge upside, even though he's got the 7-year contract that goes with him.
I think that
guys, I got a crazy thought here. This is just take it out a year or so. Verdugo moved to first base, and do they play the Martian in the outfield?
What are you going to do with Rizzo? And why would you move a guy who's
Rizzo's
never played
contract
first
begins
base
to go
first
out
base?
in a year or so. Rizzo's gone.
No.
Isn't Rizzo going after this year?
It could be after this year even.
I think he's after this year. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know about Verdugo being a first baseman if they were to keep him. If because of whatever. But hey, just another thing. I've seen these crazy, people tweeting, or saying, I don't want to be the first one to say it, but they're becoming a little too left-handed. Well, I mean, what's funny? What's funny about that though? Just remember, let's go back about like 20 years ago. Remember when the Yankees would have a cup? They would go up against, let's say, like 2 or 3 tough lefties in a row, like let's say the Red Sox or the Indians, let's say, and we shut down because we couldn't hit against left-handers, and it's been so long since that happened. But I mean, literally, I kept thinking about it the last day or so, like, oh my God, there were those days like when they would, come up against the Red Sox and not have a single right-handed bat.
Yeah, that's right.
So Rizzo's on the books for 17 this year with a club option for 17 for 25 or a $6 million buyout.
Yeah. Howie Ryder says that he's going to be re-signed.
Who, Rizzo?
Well,
Yeah.
listen, he's healthy.
No.
You don't think
It depends on circumstances, but no. I would say yes if they didn't get stuck with Stanton. I would say there's more of a possibility, but Stanton is the roadblock to a lot of things. So let's talk about the Verdugo trade. First question I have to ask is, who the hell names their kid Richard Fitz? Dick Fitz? That's the first question I have to ask about that trade.
God help us.
I don't know how a parent could do that to their kid.
Well, that's why he was traded. The Yankees could not understand. They had to send him to the Red Sox.
Coming from a guy who has, as you said last week, has friends with the name of Schmuck, Keister, and Goober.
Hyman and Goober, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a scary story.
None of them were. I mean, that's the last name. I mean, that's the last name. There's not much choice as a kid, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Dick Fitz. I don't get it.
Come on, man.
But I think the thing about it, it made sense to me for about 10 seconds. And
Why?
I was thinking that he was part of. There were 2 reasons I thought that the Yankees might have done it. I thought they might do it to
flip him,
to light a fire under the Padres. I mean, to say, hey, listen, if you're not going to do it, we're going after this guy. You got to move. So that was one idea. Another one was they're going to trade him. They were going to send him back they're going to need an outfielder. If they give up these 2 guys, their center fielder and their left fielder, to the Yankees, they might have needed a left fielder. So I thought maybe the Yankees thought about flipping him. That didn't happen. And now I don't know. It just seems to me they could have waited. That deal didn't have to be made during the before Soto. It just seemed like it was there was a reason for it, and maybe we'll find out. But my feeling is he's a weird piece right now, who not a bad player, but I think he's going to end up going. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's part of another deal.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do when the Martian comes back?
That's
Judge is in center because Soto's in right. Unless Stanton goes down with another injury and you move one of them to DH for the rest of the season.
Well,
what do you mean unless? When is the question?
When March 29th. So,
but there's also the whole thing that, remember, it is only a 1-year contract at this moment. So I mean, like, we could be worrying about nothing at all.
Right. So
hopefully Dominguez will be healthy by 25, and that's not going to be.
Well, Dominguez is supposed to be back in June, which makes me think he could be back. He could be back in the majors before the trade deadline, which is when I think
that would be good.
Yankees have quite the backlog, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Just to give you some background on Verdugo, right? It's only the 7th trade in the last 60 years between the Yankees and the Red Sox. But Verdugo is likely to get about $9 million in arbitration this year, according to Sports Track. He's never hit more than 13 home runs in a season. He does have a lifetime average of 281, which would have led the Yankees last season.
Yeah.
But he hit 264 last season, and his average has dropped from 308 in 2020 to 289 in 21, 280 in 22, and then 264 last year. He has only a 15% K rate, which is great. And that's in line with his lifetime numbers, so that didn't move. But he doesn't walk, and he's never stolen more than 6 in a season. And his on base percentage has also dropped for 4 consecutive years, from 367 in 2020, which is the same year he hit 308, to 324 last season.
Mhm.
And he is awful against left-handed pitching. I mean, he hit 220, and he had only, even though he had 601 plate appearances as a player, which basically is almost every day, he had only 156 plate appearances against lefties, which means he's not getting any
He's
at
not your average.
bats. The Red Sox saw no lefties, and if the Yankee lineup is what the Yankee lineup is, they're going to see lefties all of a sudden. And what are you going to do? So I don't think the Yankees gave up anything meaningful except for a guy whose name we love. I mean, he was on the Yankees list. I had it written down. Fitz himself was actually the number 12 Yankee prospect, and he was expected to arrive in the majors in 24.
Yeah.
So he's the only guy that they gave up. You know, one guy they gave up hasn't played in professional baseball yet. They drafted him out of LSU, and then the third guy is nowhere to be seen on anybody's list. So they didn't really give up
anything.
Well, they gave up Weissert. I mean, Weissert is you know, he's
nice
a Fordham boy. He you know, just, you know, nice. I think he has a great. I think he's got a sinker. It was a changeup that was something special, and I mean, he was okay, but
He's
nothing.
got a sweeper.
You know, another piece that doesn't hurt them. Nothing. It's, again, what they gave up this week was a lot of bodies, a lot of guys who.
The pitching.
What do they have? 5 wide open 40-man roster spots. That's
they gave
them
up. They gave up the pitching for Soto. Plus, they lost what, 2 or 3 in the Rule 5.
3.
Yeah.
No,
3.
3 in the Rule 5. So
and
they lost.
Then they also lost in the minor league Rule 5. They lost a couple of guys too.
Yeah. So that. But the other thing with Verdugo, or however you pronounce his name, is he going to handle New York? If he stinks and he gets booed, we already know he already tried going into the stands in left field once. So is he going to do that again when his own team's fans boo him?
I think he's gonna. You know, the Red Sox. People come from Boston; they deal with it as bad as we do. It's even closer there. So I don't know. I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I just don't think he's gonna ever play an inning in the Yankees. I mean, I'll go on the record right now and say that he's not going to play 1 inning with the Yankees this year. He's done. He's gone. He's gone.
I think that he's. I think the interesting thing is Joey Cora. Is it Joe? Which Cora is the manager of the Red Sox?
Joe. Who cares?
Whatever, the manager of the Red Sox. He had a.
If you're listening, sorry, Joey.
He got into a fight. He got into a baseball-related argument in the dugout with the manager because he got on his case because he didn't hustle. Well, we already know the Boone is not going to say spit to him for not hustling.
Perfect.
Otherwise,
guy.
he would have said something to Torres and stuff like that. So he should be safe.
Alex. According to Kelly Ryder, it's Alex Cora as the manager.
Alex, thank you. Joey's his brother. You gotta have him on the show today.
The Cora brothers, the Molina brothers, the Miller brothers, the Schneider brothers—they're all the same.
So let me ask you a question though. I think earlier, was it like right at the end of the season, weren't they talking about Verdugo for
Torres?
What's his name for Torres?
Yeah,
wasn't that being rumored?
Yeah, that was a terrible move.
But so the funny thing is that compared to giving up Torres for that, you know, it's not as bad a move. However, I will say one thing. Let's go back to what we were talking about last week. Torres is still there. Where are we going to do it? So we still have Torres. And I
mean, I wanted to try and stay in line with, and obviously, since your technology wasn't working, and since you're moving around more than Kramer and
leave your phone.
Seriously,
your phone down.
You're causing more grief for people than Kramer, and you're going to cause vertigo if you don't stop sitting still.
I might have.
Somebody diagnosed it for Tourette's.
I think we look at the roster right now, right? You got Rizzo at first, Torres at second, DJ's at third, Volpe's at short. Left field is likely Verdugo, with right field being Soto because he's not as good a fielder. Judge is in center, and then you have Wells and Trevino platooning at catcher. The bench only has room for 4 players. But the bench right now is Cabrera, Peraza, Grisham, Pereira, Gonzalez, and Rorschach. That's, I mean, and then you put the guy who's not catching there. That's 6 guys. That's too many guys. That's 7 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys. I was told there'd be no math. there's 8 guys on their bench that are position players, and there's only room for 4.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
Rortvet, because they're going to have 2 catchers. It's going to be
Rortvet's got to go.
Yeah,
no,
Robert.
he's gone. He's not going to go. He's got some options, so he'll go to the minors.
Does he
And
still
they'll
have
sit him there waiting for somebody
Yeah.
to drop dead up in the major league level. So, so that's he's not. He's the easy answer. Gonzalez, I didn't know they still have him. They've got Marwan still.
No,
not Marwin.
Oscar.
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 They're
Oh,
not
that's
even
right. I
related.
forgot
Come
the
on.
big deal from last week. The Yankees' big move
Oscar.
last week. All right.
So I'm trying to find out about Rortvet and his. Rortvet has no options left.
Thank
Oh,
God.
that's
I didn't
not
think he
good.
had any options left because they brought him up like twice or 3 times last year.
Yeah.
So
but
maybe they trade him. They can't keep him.
Parara's got one option. Peraza has no options.
Peraza's got none,
How is
really.
that possible?
Because he's been around a long enough time that his options were off. Oscar Gonzalez has 2 options. Florial has. I forgot about Florial on my list. He has no options.
What about
Oh,
Florial?
yeah, Florial, yeah.
Florial's not going to be there opening day.
Yeah, Florial's gone.
Oswaldo has 2 options, so he's right now. He's the backup infielder though.
They should trade. They should definitely trade. Because it hasn't changed anything. That's Torres still value will probably never be higher than it is right now again. So
Who's Torres?
Torres.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is
the other
this
thing
has
is-
been a big part of our conversation for a couple years, and they never trade. They never want to move him when at
they're
the right
valuable.
time. They always jump right on him when he's doing well, and they think he's going to stay this way. This is the time to let him go, and maybe they move him for an arm. He could be in a deal.
The other thing, aren't they still?
Go ahead.
Aren't they still saying that they want to sign IKF?
No, God.
I don't get that.
Well,
There's
IKF sits on the bench as your 26th man. He's a perfect 26th
He's
man.
and he's your third catcher. God forbid, with the Yankee trainers, you never know when you may need your 4th and 5th. So,
God help him.
Good point. It's a good point. The I think I could see Torres being held out now for an arm, and I'm wondering, if you don't mind, because I did want to think we should know. I think the one thing that's wrong now is, and I think we agreed, 2 things. They could use help in the pen, but the Yankees have a way of making the pen work. So I don't think that's the thing. I think they really need a little help in the rotation. I agree with the start. There's pretty much 4 options. I see it right now, probably more. But I think number 1 is Yoshi. We get him from Japan. If he can if he wants to play with the Yankees, Uncle Stevie, no offense, but Uncle Stevie is going to do everything he can to bring him in, and he's going to spend every dollar necessary. He has to go up to $1 billion. He'll do it. So the question is going to be, does he rather play with the Yankees? Would he rather play with the Yankees or the Mets? And that's going to come down to a few different things, obviously.
Well, the interesting thing with regard to Torres trading him, the guys that they always talk about are the Marlins. Kramer was big on this. I think he's got a comment we'll play in a minute or so. But the
Well, why
Marlins
don't we
have
play it
extra
now?
pitching. Well,
Why don't we play it?
I don't know if he did it. So the Yankees need pitching, so Torres is an ideal candidate to go. But the issue becomes the Reds are looking for pitching, and they have younger, controllable infielders and outfielders that they can trade than the Yankees do. I mean, even Jonathan India is under control, but they've got like 6 young outfielders under control and 4 or 5 young infielders under control. And they just signed Candelario as well. So the Reds look like they're going to be in competition to get some of these guys. Steve, you're killing me. You're worse than Kramer.
Sorry. I got.
Keep the phone. Lean it up against something.
So, from a pitching standpoint, they only have 4 starters. I could see, Cohen went all the way to Japan to meet with Yamamoto. So, I don't know what the hell that means. And then Monday, the Yankees are allegedly meeting with him. But there's other guys out there, right? You've got Imanaga, who's the other starter. He's a 30-year-old lefty. He'll be a lot less expensive. You've got, obviously, they can bring back Montas on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
From the minors, the only guys that are around that are left are Beater, who is from the Gallo trade, has some control issues. Will Warren, who played a little, didn't he come up a little bit this year? They also have Chase Hampton, who was actually rated ahead of Thorpe as a prospect on the Yankee list before the Thorpe trade, but he's a little younger. He's not expected 25. Yandris Gomez was up for a little bit last year. He's expected at 24. And then they've got a guy. Somebody's got to silence their phone. And then you've got Edgar Barkley, who is the 27th prospect, and he's a lefty. But really, there's nothing there. The cupboard's bare now.
It's funny that you mentioned that, though, about Thorpe, because when we had this, we did like our maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we had a show. We talked about what was missing. And we thought about some of their young guys. And Thorpe was actually number 3 at that time, behind Warren and Hampton. So suddenly something happened. And what happened was that he was named the minor league pitcher of the year. And suddenly everybody said he's an untouchable. So, the other guys had better years and I think were younger. And also, or not, maybe not younger, but the difference is the guy has a soft fastball. And I don't know how that does how that plays in the major leagues. I think special guys can do that. And if he's got what he needs, that's great. But I don't think that he was a loss, as big a loss as everybody's talking here, because you know what happens to these guys when they're not as fast? They come up, they feel the pressure, and then they get hurt. So, I'm not going to say that I pray that he's a good player. He's a good player and, have a great season in San Diego. But, I don't think that he's the be all and end all. So I think that guys like Hampton, guys like that, guys like
Gomez, Hampton.
These guys have some future here, but as not ready now, not ready for prime time now. But I don't think they've lost so much there. Really, the big loss, again, is going to be King. And let's talk about King really just quickly. King, until a month ago, 2 months ago, he was a really good relief pitcher. They hadn't thought about him for the bullpen until the very end for the rotation until the very last part of the season. So he did well, but the season was over. Teams weren't. It wasn't. I remember that time. It wasn't super competitive time for them. So who knows? A lot of maybes there, but
and King broke his arm throwing.
Yeah,
he was on a usage limit in the whole first half of the season.
And he will be again.
I also think Brito was a little bit of a loss because he was that multi-inning reliever last year, and he did really well in that role, better than as a starter. So let's bring in Kramer's nose hair. You could hold up his bobblehead and see what Kramer has to say about the pitching.
K-Dog here. Now that Juan Soto and Verdugo have been obtained to help the offense, on to a question about pitching. While we all would love to have Yamamoto here, I think Montgomery is a viable option, as well as trading Gleyber Torres for a pitcher from Miami, perhaps Braxton Garrett. How do you guys think the Yanks should go about it, fortifying the rotation?
Boy, he's a smart guy. He really is.
I don't think Montgomery's coming back.
I don't think so.
The money's right. He comes back.
He wants. They're saying 5 years, $100 million for him. I mean, that's a lot of money for.
Actually, I read 5 or 6 for 125.
I mean, unbelievable.
I think Gleyber to Florida makes sense. It's been talked about for 2 years now. Let's do it. Get one of those.
Problem is their competition now. Miami's got the excess pitching.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the Dodgers when it comes to Yamamoto either. I mean, they will quickly pivot if they don't get Ohtani. And then the other team that'll quickly pivot if they don't get Ohtani is the Giants. So, the Giants have been looking to spend their money.
Yes, nobody wants to go.
And nobody wants their money.
Why is that?
I don't know. If I was a pitcher, and this is my thoughts as a pitcher, is the 2 places I would go would be, and I've said this before, Citi Field and San Francisco. They're made for pitchers. Baltimore now is also not a bad pitcher's place since they moved the walls back. But you want to rebuild your career. Look at Gossman. He went to the Giants 1 year and then he multiplied it, got his confidence up, and pitched well for Toronto. Right? That's San Francisco's the place to be with regard to pitching. San Diego's another good place for pitching.
Yeah.
That's not the best hitter's ballpark either.
Hey, go back to Toronto for a second. About 4 or 5 days ago, everyone's going, "Oh my God, they're going to get Soto. Soto. Oh my God, they're gonna get.
That was a joke from Mania.
It wasn't. I mean, they were talking about it. I mean, how real was it? I don't know, but it certainly. But yeah, I mean, there's a very good chance that Ohtani's going to go there. I mean, and
they're saying Ohtani to Toronto is really where he wants to go now. They're saying, but we'll see.
Wow,
so he doesn't. He named it. He named his dog Fenway. They said he's going to Boston.
Is that what it
was? His dog Fenway. So they say he's going to.
Did he?
It's Roger or something like that.
It's the whole thing is ridiculous. I don't think Ohtani. I think one of the things, and you keep hearing this on a lot of the guys on MLB Network radio and TV, is Ohtani has his structure and his way of doing things, and the Angels let him be him and didn't bother him and let him do whatever he wanted to do. There's not a lot of places that you can go that have that kind of money that will let you just be you.
That's right.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with regard to that, because the Angels are a known entity, and he might go right back there. But I don't think he's going. I don't think he's coming to the East Coast. I really don't. I mean, he's used to pitching in a dome. He's used to pitching in a dome, so Toronto's a possibility. But he's a year away from pitching. And I will say this though: if he goes to Toronto, he's going to hit 60 home runs. That place with the dome closed is just
they'll keep closed. They'll keep it closed all the time for him.
Yeah, and he'll just murder them. He's going to murder the Yankees. I mean, that's one of those that we do not. We don't want to see that every whatever.
He's going to be sitting in the middle of all those right-handed hitters that they have, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be the lefty.
God, is he? Can you imagine Vladimir with him around? Oh.
That's why I want to go to the Dodgers or to the Giants.
Yeah, let's make sure he does that. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
One of the things I want to ask about, back to the arms. What about what do they have left aside from Glaber? What else do they have to trade for Burns or Bieber? What do you think about that?
They've got Verdugo, Pereira, Torres. They've got a lot of infield prospects that are a couple of years away. I mean, they obviously have Jones, who they don't want to trade, because especially if Soto walks, they need to have Jones come up early and be the next left-handed hitter. I'd rather, Torres and Peraza. You got to keep one and get rid of the other.
Or would they trade Volpe?
What?
Would they trade Volpe? A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about would Volpe go to San Diego?
They were never going to trade Volpe.
They're not going to trade Volpe. If anything, you get rid of Torres, move LeMahieu back to second, and you have the kid play third.
No, Peraza plays second, and DJ plays third. DJ no longer has the legs to play second base.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's solid, very solid at third base.
He's above average third baseman. And Peraza, quite frankly, Peraza is the best infielder they have defensively, as far as I can see.
That's right.
But they're never going to move Volpe off a shortstop.
What about Montas? I mean, do you think 1 year, $10 million gets that deal?
$10 million would be more than enough to get him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You said it last week. You said it last week. Somebody did. I mean, he's not going to get anywhere else. I mean, so might as well just take a team-friendly deal and be healthy and till next year.
He wants to prove it.
Yeah.
So the other place now the Yankees are hurting, right? Because of Weissert being gone, Brito being gone, is the bullpen. We'll let K-Dog have the first word on that one.
Hello, K-Dog here. On the topic of relief pitching, I think the Yankees need 2 lefty relievers. So I would bring Wandy Peralta back because we know he can handle New York. But I'm also intrigued by lefty pitcher Yuki Matsui. What do you guys think?
These guys.
Well, Matsui's the closer, isn't he? He's the closer from Japan. Yeah. If the Yankees were to sign Imanaga and Matsui, they 2 of them together won't make as much money as Yamamoto, which I know you can't have $30 million player at every position. But if they could sign Imanaga to be the lefty in the bullpen, a starter, and then Matsui to be in the bullpen, the guy's got a track record of strikeouts at a ridiculous rate in Japan. Mm-hmm. It would be that signing those 2 guys, I would think, would really go far for the Yankees in finishing up the rotation and starting the rebuild of the bullpen. Because the bullpen right now they don't really have very much out there in the bullpen, right?
What do
They've got
Holmes. Holmes.
Holmes, Loizaga, who as a mental eggplant for some reason can't close, right?
Efros
Efros, who's coming back off an injury.
Kindly.
Canley, Hamilton.
They love
Crook.
Hamilton.
And Crook, Ramirez, Marinaccio.
No, Ramirez was non-tendered.
Oh, that's right. He's not there. Right. Marinaccio, is he still around?
He stunk when he stunk they burnt him out.
They burnt him out, and then you have Luis Gil or however you pronounce his name.
They like Gil for the starting rotation.
Gil was a starter before he blew out his arm.
Right.
And he showed some potential as a starter, but he's coming off TJ, so he's going to start in the minor leagues for sure.
Was he TJ this year?
He missed. He had TJ because he missed all of 23 because he had TJ at the end of 22.
Okay.
Here's a thought.
He's going to come back slow. Yeah, so you're not using him as your long reliever.
Yeah. Thought about Jordan Hicks. He's a free agent from.
Did he just sign?
St. Louis.
Did he sign?
Did he sign something today? It wasn't as of this morning.
I'm looking it up.
I think that there were rumors that there's interest.
He got traded from St. Louis to Toronto.
Yeah, and he did well. 4 years, $36 million gets him done, they say. And for $9 million, I would do it. But I don't know where I'm a little worried. I don't know where they have this money.
I don't think he signed. He's a big strikeout guy. Throws hard as anybody in baseball.
Yep. And
he had an arm injury 2 years ago, so he's back from that. He's not the oldest guy, but he's not the youngest. He'll be 30. He'll be 28 this year.
So 4 years for him is 4
years, 5 years.
I would give nobody more than. I wouldn't give him more than 3.
You got to give him 4.
But 4. I mean, that's he's out there, so that would be it'd be nice to see if they go there. I don't know. They just think they can make it with relievers.
So Hicks signed.
He did sign?
Hicks signed. He signed back with the Cardinals, and you guys are talking about giving him 3 and 4 years. He signed back with the Cardinals 1 year, 1.8.
Why?
It? Wow.
1.8?
Talking about Aaron?
That's got to be a mistake.
Maybe it was Aaron Hicks who signed that.
Aaron Hicks.
Steve, you're frozen.
Not Aaron. Jordan Hicks, whatever Hicks. Somebody Hicks. One of the Hickses. So, am I still frozen?
Yeah.
Yep. Don't worry. At least you're not shaking anymore. So.
Yeah.
No, he actually, I take it back. He was 1.8 last year. He still didn't sign.
Okay.
Don't scare me.
If I knew how to read, it would be impressive. So yeah, it's
all that. Right. So we have any other questions that we want to play?
We've got we already Rob Weber chimed in and wanted to know what we thought about the Soto trade. So let's see what he says before we get to Ezra.
I'm anxious to hear what you guys think of the Soto trade. Obviously, they're getting a blockbuster player with Soto, but the pitching depth they gave up is quite a bit, in my opinion. Those guys are not bad pitchers for the Padres to build around. How will the Yankees fill that hole on their pitching staff?
Yeah, he's just happy. He's just thrilled that he doesn't have to face. He doesn't have to face him 15 times a year. So he should be thrilled that this deal was done.
All right, so we got Thurston Hall chimed in. Let's see what he has to say.
This is Thurston Hall III. Very concerned about this Aaron Judge in center field move. Don't understand, why would they get Verdugo? Lovey, it seems to be very obvious. It's an injury, catastrophic one at that, waiting to happen. Listen, Verdugo is a nice little ball player, but no way.
That guy's voice has got the worst imitation of Bob Shepard I've ever heard.
Well, it was Thurston Howell III. It was Jim Backus.
I know, but it sounded like it was doing a really bad Thurston Howell of Bob Shepard.
Steve can talk and his mouth doesn't move. It's very impressive.
I've never seen anyone do it with this with this skill.
When he was younger, did he put you on his knee, Adam? When you were younger, did he put you on his knee to do his ventriloquist act?
I'm the ventriloquist dummy.
Such a dummy.
We have got great stories of Steve trying to throw batting practice. He used to love to pitch to me in this little. We had this square with two huge things of concrete, like chairs, these massive benches, and I'd sit right in the middle and catch him. And he'd throw these horrible fastballs, sidearm fastballs. They would hit the side, hit me in the head, and then bounce over.
Right off of one to the other. Yeah.
And he would just nail me, and I would say, I put up 3 fingers for speed. No. 2 people for a curve. Nope. And then I would go. He'd say, oh, I'm dead. I had more groin shots growing up young in that environment, but we used to have fun.
Wait a second. You had some groin shots. You must have had some serious accuracy, Steve, if you were hitting at him there. That's a tough target.
Not a lot to there was not a lot to throw to, yeah, I tell you. But he never liked my sidearm. I gotta tell you.
It was murder. It was murder. Did you guys ever play ball together?
No.
We played puff. We invented a puff baseball game down in the den.
Yes, we did play golf baseball.
Puff baseball.
Well, with a Nerf ball.
Our favorite sport was hockey. We used to play hockey in our closets and put pillows on our legs. And
I don't know. We had
we played in the garage. We played hockey.
We had the garage. Our mother worked for a fundraising company, so we had all these boxes of chocolate. We formed a goal with all these boxes of chocolate. She was supposed to give away a sample, so the goalie was there with soccer shin guards and a regular size forwards hockey stick, and just and
a baseball glove, and that was
a baseball glove, and I think
baseball gloves always.
Yeah, that was always
bass from like 1943, sitting in the garage, and we would just shoot a tennis ball or a hockey ball at each other.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Did you wear a mask or a helmet? Obviously not. That's
what obviously not. Neither
obviously
one of us did.
Yeah, you see what Michael looked like. So
at least Adam didn't have a lot to shoot for. You guys.
That you managed to hit him in the groin I'm
yes,
impressed.
I know. We never
multiple times, sometimes 3-4 times a day. It was terrible.
And then after that, it was just wiffle ball in the backyard.
Adam was much voice in those days.
We did have a short porch. We did have a short porch in right field, hitting it over the Saltzman's fence.
Yes, I was the first one to put it into their gutters on the roof.
Yes,
batting lefty, and then we also had our version of stickball in the street.
Yeah.
Growing up in the city, I don't know about you guys, but nothing like Amsterdam Avenue and that low hanging 3rd floor terrace. I gotta tell you, those people got a lot of balls.
We used to hit the balls into this area. There was a fence over it, and we'd have to climb over the fence. I have to knock on the door of these neighbors to ask them if we could go get the ball. And we would do it 4 or 5 times a day. These people would be like, "Are you kidding me again? You guys suck."
We made sure we had enough wiffle balls, and then when the neighbors went away, we took the ladder, went up on their roof, and got all the balls back.
Yeah. We also used the old Yankee bat day bats and a tennis ball on the side of the house, which I had to stop doing when I was able to hit the ball from my backyard over the Nadan's house into the creek left-handed. That was the end of that.
That was the end of that. It was Streisfeld's house.
I love it. We played on a hard. It was basically a thin, long, fairway, but it was basically all paved. And so you'd have a new baseball, and within 2 or 3 days, it looked like suede leather, completely ruined. And we would play with that ball for weeks.
Forever.
And if you lost it, forget it. You were done. There was no game. Just didn't have it was hard to get a baseball back then. There was nowhere to go. You'd go to where would you go?
We had plenty of baseballs.
We had plenty of baseballs.
No, not where we were.
I guess on Zeisner Lane you could get baseballs, but on
coming to Zeisner Lane. Yeah. Part of it. Listen, we didn't have very many. We didn't use baseballs very often. Occasionally, and I think Rich, I don't even know if you got into these games because I was playing with the older kids. We would have full 9-on-9 games on Francis Place.
I played a couple, not a lot.
Everything.
You were more Klein.
9-on-9 in a regular, regulation wide street, Didn't matter if there were cars. Car, get out of the way. But we didn't care if there was cars parked. We were using a hard ball, and people were throwing it, and we were hitting it off houses and
Oh yeah,
windows.
I mean, Howie Ryder just pinged. He only remembers the tennis balls.
Yeah, well, we played the tennis balls on the side of the house and wiffle balls in the front on the driveway. Mom used to get mad that we were going to break the glass windows on the garage door.
Yeah, yep, yeah. I mean, we had that perfect pitching zone, right in between the two.
We had that good, but we also had the pitch back. And do you guys use a pitch back when you were younger? When you played 1-on-1, we used the pitch back.
We were poor kids. We were lucky we had baseball gloves. We had boxes like
Mariano.
Like Mariano.
So we would play the whole pitch back, including the frame, was a strike. So the strike zone was humongous.
Well, that was with the wiffle ball.
That was with the wiffle ball, and then you learn how to throw those curveballs and the risers.
Well, you got to understand something. We lived in the city. We lived in the street. There was no such thing as grass. We played on cement. So a ball got
funny in the city.
You guys didn't play stoop ball? My father played stoop ball all the time.
We would play punch ball, stoop ball. We would play with Spalding. Remember?
Yeah.
And those are fun. And that's, if you didn't have a baseball, you could always go down to the candy store and get a Spalding. And that was baseball.
Oh yeah, the numbers trying to you think
you played stick ball with those Spalding bats.
Up at Bloomfield, the Bluefield school.
Somebody painted up. I love that on Bluefield's bat. Somebody painted a strike zone.
Exactly.
That was pretty funny.
And then if you hit it on top of the hill, it was a home run.
Yeah, you couldn't do that today. Paint on the school wall a strike zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we did. Yeah.
When we were in college, we used to play on the side of the house. And there was one room in the second floor that didn't have it had a door that went to nowhere, and it had a ladder. But when we used to play on campus, we had a guy, Andrew, who used to just lower drinks down to us while we were playing.
Alcohol?
Yes.
Cocktails.
Yeah, I'm surprised that house was able to handle a ball hitting it without falling.
Oh, the Mary Street house. Yes, the Mary Street house. Yeah, it was not the most well built, but it is still there.
I thought it was condemned, and they had to tear it down.
I thought it would be condemned. The funniest thing is the house that Michelle, my wife, lived in is gone. It's got removed from the face of the earth. Whereas my house on Mary Street is still there. And that house, let's just say, the coffee table at the very end of the last semester we were there was a 2x4 and two what are they called?
Legos?
Cinder blocks. And that was our coffee table. So it was
all you needed back then.
You want to?
Hey,
you have no idea.
I have a question for you. There's been we lost a lot of famous people this week. A lot of famous people, including someone I just read today died. One of my earliest baseball player heroes from when I was a kid, Vic Davalillo, died.
Oh.
St. Louis Cardinals, wasn't he?
He played everywhere.
Dodgers.
He was in the Dodgers in the 70s. I remember him from the Indians. I was just thinking, what was the first game you ever went to Yankee Stadium? Do you remember?
Too young to remember.
Well, I know my first game, and I don't remember going, but Dad has the scorecard. Was Mickey Mantle Day.
Yeah, I probably saw, as a baby, I was probably brought in. It was like Mickey Mantle's last year, so I don't even know if I would have seen him. I was probably brought into the stadium as a baby. So,
well, I saw Mantle. My first game I ever went to was in October of '64. They beat the Cardinal. They beat the Indians the last day of the season to win the pennant, and I remember that game.
Wow.
Only because I remember how loud the bullpen was, but I saw Mantle a few times at the end. He was not that good. Our father was not a baseball fan. He gave up on when the Giants left New York. He did not like baseball anymore, and so here we are going up to Yankee Stadium's backyard, and really never went to many games. And then we started to go some more.
Well, weren't you like 30? You were 30 years old in '64, weren't you?
I was a couple of days. No. I was born in '55, so I was like 8 or 9.
Yeah, so I was born in October '64. Richard, you weren't even developed a sperm yet. So
you're a couple of months younger than Adam. So Adam,
I'm a whole year younger than Adam.
You're a year exactly.
I mean, where he was the day Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah,
so
I remember the old timers days at the old stadium when they were fun.
And Bat Day.
So you remember that day?
Our brother's first was the first game at the new at the new stadium, at the new old stadium.
Okay, well,
76.
First game was 77.
Adam
Todd's
remembers.
first game was 76.
Was it really?
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
6 years old. That he remembers.
Adam,
6 years old. He
Adam,
might have gone to Shea.
Adam and I would go like in 72, 71 and 72. And the place was like, they play like these Wednesday night games like at 6 o'clock. And we'd go, and there was like 8,000 people in the stadium. And that was the 70,000 seat stadium. So it was empty. Yeah. And we used to like have our own sections, and we would bang the chairs one at a time. Like,
dot, 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 dot. I remember that so much. It was great.
The old coupons on the back of the milk carton for the Delwood.
Yeah, that was
Delwood
milk.
You get
that so well.
Games.
Yeah,
you
would either get a missing kid or a Yankee or Mets 2-for-1 ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was always pissed when it was a kid. What? I don't care about the kid.
We've got a
Who
listener.
cares about Eton Pots?
We've got a listener. I want to play this one because it's a compliment. Listen to this. You ready?
Oh.
All right. Well, we got a couple of things. Ready? Well, Frankie the Yankee, who was with us last week, this is what he said.
I think the show's great tonight. I think it's because tonight's guests are much better than the ones you guys had last week. Great show, guys.
Thank you, Frank. You're a good man. And you're still very handsome.
So our other alleged brother chimed in, and he has two quickies.
Opening day of the new old stadium.
That was his first game.
That's the first game I remember going to, period. According to Dad, I went to games at Shea Stadium. But do they count?
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Well, this is a different question. Adam, what was the first game you took one of your kids? How old were your kids when you first took them to their first games?
First game I never really took the girls to. The girls went to see when we lived in California. You'd go see Oakland. We go to Oakland Stadium, to the Coliseum, and we would sit right next to the Yankee bullpen because we could hang out and talk to the players. It was fun.
Right.
So I would take Joanne and me, the babies would go with whoever we had. But we didn't really go to Yankee Stadium until my son was born. And the first game he went to see was Jabba Chamberlain in maybe 2008. He was 5. So that was the first game I took him to see Jabba pitch in 2008.
In 2008, you were back in New York by then, right?
Yeah, we had moved back.
How about you, Steve? Do you have any alleged kids besides Adam?
The first game I ever took my son to was Paris thought was a Braves game. It was a Met Braves game. But Yankee game was a Yankee Red Sox game. We had really good seats. It was 95, the playoff year. We have the scorecard from that game. That was great. My daughter, my daughter's first game was, believe it or not, was the day before Yogi Berra Day and we took my daughter. It was like 150 degrees, and she was just, oh God, she hated every minute of it at the Braves. It was a Yankee Brave game. It was awful.
Rich, how about your girls?
First game that we went to, I think, was actually your kids were in. I think Max might have been in. I don't remember you being there. We went to Citi Field, upper deck in Citi Field. Sorry. And then
family show.
Sorry. And then
and my father-in-law didn't move your seats?
No. You might have been there, or Michelle was there. Somebody was there.
If we were there, there's no way we would have stayed in the upper deck.
We were way up there. Well, it was everybody. It was like all of Todd's family, all of my family. So we were way up there. So it would have been like 20 people to move down. So that was the first. It was Mets Angels. They got to the least see Trout play, but then I would say probably Alexa was probably 3, 4. Tina was 7 when we took her to Yankee Stadium for the first time.
Yeah. So my kids, obviously my kids were out here, but Matthew, as I said earlier, was born on March 28th, and the Yankees were in town opening day. Matthew went to a game, and he couldn't have been more than, I think it was before his bris. How's that one? His first game was that. But I'll never forget, Matthew's first experience at Yankee Stadium was unbelievable. I don't know if you were there, Rich. We went to a Yankees-Royals game, and it was pouring. And they had an hour and a half rain delay. And somehow or other, Matthew made it on TV because he was wearing the little kid's yellow. He was about 4, I guess. Little kid's yellow rain jacket and yellow boots, and he was stomping in the puddles. So then they played about 5 innings, and there was another rain delay, and we got in the car and we left. Matthew fell asleep in the car. We got home. The game started up again, and Matthew was like, "Is that they're playing? Why did we leave?" So that was a pretty good thing. Max's first game, because he's a late October baby, he didn't come to a game until the Yankees came to town. In what year was he born? 98. So in 99 was his first game. Matthew's first game was in the opening week of 96. I mean, he was at a game. He couldn't have been 10 days old, whatever it was. It was before all the. It had to be a little bit later than that. After all the grandparents left after the bris. So that was that. Got rid of them and went to a couple of baseball games.
Priceless stories.
So we talked about Shea Stadium. I once went to a game. Adam, you'll love this, and if Matthew Herman's listening, he'll love this one too. So we went to a game at Shea Stadium. It was me, Aunt Tina, and Uncle Rich, and my cousin Stephen Miller. And we were sitting in. If you remember Shea Stadium, they had all those press boxes that were before luxury boxes were a thing. We were given tickets to sit in one of those luxury press boxes things down the left field line. And my Aunt Tina, which if you knew her, you would understand this, complained that we were too far away. Rich is laughing. So she went to our contact at the Yankees who got us the tickets. They put us in Charlie Finley's box next to the A's dugout.
Oh, wow.
Every single person in the dugout, every coach came up to us because they thought we were Finley's family. They were giving us gum the whole game. My aunt caught a baseball off of Thurman Munson's foul ball off of Thurman Munson's bat. We were literally in the front row next to the A's dugout.
That was at Yankee Stadium. That was at Shea.
That was at Shea. And then what's even better is somebody broke a bat.
Bert Campaneris.
And I had the bat.
Yeah, I remember. It's a Bert Campaneris bat.
And Reggie struck out to end the game for the A's and smashed his helmet. And it broke into 3 pieces. They handed the helmet to my cousin Steven. And he still has that helmet.
Does he still have it? He still has the helmet?
Well, as far as I know, I haven't seen Steven in years. But yeah, I would assume he still has it because he had it forever. But the funniest thing was Antina complaining about
Stephen Miller. Is that his name? Doesn't he work for Trump?
No, he doesn't work for Trump, and he's not a leader of a band.
Adam, were you
unlike there's Steven that might be on this particular call, he spells his name the correct way with a V.
Does he?
Ooh.
So let me ask you a question.
That's me.
It's me the day you talk about famous moments at Shea Stadium.
And I know what you're going to talk about. Push back. We can't see you. We got top of a head.
You were with me that night. That it was like, what was it?
Milwaukee Brewers.
I don't remember who it played, but all I know it was Jesus Christ. It was
Jesus Christ was at the game.
Family show.
Wow.
It was like
Angels in the outfield.
It was Armed Forces Day or something like that. And the Coast Guard came and blew the
they had a cannon. This is a famous story. People talk about this. In fact, I talked about it with Roy White once.
Yeah.
They were literally they rolled out this thing to fire off the 21 gun salute, and they blew the wall. It's incredibly funny. We were all just like, we couldn't believe it, and they had to delay the game for a half an hour to go up and put a piece of wood in because it was literally a hole in the wall in left. I guess it was left center. But Robin Yount was a rookie that year. He was 19, playing center field. Remember, he was playing his age. He was 19 years old.
God awful. Oh, that was like so stupid. It really was.
All right, so we're done for the day. I'm ending us abruptly since we're a little over our hour. This was terrific. This worked out well. The beginning, the middle, and the end. We had a good show today. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, or who our guests are going to be, but clearly, since Frankie liked the show better than when he and Kramer were on, I don't know if we should have Frankie and Kramer back, or was it Kramer or was it Frankie? We might have to do a little,
we'll talk it over. We like this. We could do this dynamic again. The brothers was nice.
And, what we didn't get to was a lot of the guys that we played with at Yankee camp from the Highlanders. We had one guy who wasn't happy about the Soto trade. And,
Sal?
Yep. and
I
a
love
couple
Seth,
other guys.
but
I did get a text. Let me see if he responded. No, he didn't respond. I went back and forth a little bit with Warren Sherman today. Happy Hanukkah wishes. I'd love to get him on the show too. He could even take us on a tour of his Yankee.
That's a great idea. We got to get the captain. Oh, sorry, the
former captain.
And let's get him on.
So we got some ideas coming for the future show, and look for it. We'll have our show back up on next Thursday, and we'll go from there. Thanks, brothers.
Thank you for joining us. Thanks for having me join.
And thankfully, Kramer's knows. See you later. And the Yankees don't have Dick Fitz to push around anymore.
Been real.
I'll see you guys.
Take care.
Bye.